Hi guys, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 8 today, so let's get started. In verse 1, and God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. Okay, this does not mean that God forgot about Noah. This just means that at this moment, God thought of Noah. Okay, it says he made a wind to pass over the earth. This word for wind here is the same Hebrew word that's used for breath of life and spirit. Okay, so God didn't cause a giant hurricane type wind to go across the earth and blow the waters away, right? That's not what happened. It was quite literally the Holy Spirit that he sent to calm the water. All right, verse 2. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. Okay, so the fountains of the deep, we talked about that before. That's the water from under the earth that was coming up, so that was stopped. The windows of heaven, that's the water that came from outside of the firmament, because we know the firmament was created to keep the waters outside from coming in. Okay, so when the windows were open, that water came in, so that was stopped. The windows were closed. And the rain from heaven, which was the actual rain from the clouds, all of that stopped. Okay, it uses the word restrained. It was held back. Verse 3, and the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. Okay, the waters returned. It uses the word returned from off the earth. So we know the word return means to go back, right? To go back to where it came from. If you return a library book, you take it back to the library. Okay, so the fountains of the deep were replenished. The water that came from there went back to where it came from. The water above the firmament was returned. And the and the water from the rain, that does it all the time, right? That returns to back to where it came from. It's called the water cycle, right? It goes back into the clouds. So it rained continually for 40 days and 40 nights. But even after the rain had stopped, the water was still raging, right? It was still dangerous and destructive. So we're going to keep going, verses 4 and 5. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually into the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. So, from the time the ark lifted off the ground, it took 7 months or 213 days to rest again. So for 213 days, the ark was, it was in the raging water, okay? And it landed on top of a mountain in the mountains of Ararat, which is modern day Turkey or Armenia. And then for 3 more months, the waters kept decreasing. So it says the first land that was to appear was top of the mountains because, logically that's what's going to appear first. But verses 6 and 7, and it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. So 40 days later, after the ark had landed on the top of this mountain, Noah opened the window and sent a raven out. The raven would leave and come back, right? Leave and come back. That's to and fro, back and forth, until the waters were all dried up. That's what the raven was for, to see when the waters were dried. So 8 and 9. Also he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And he put forth his hand and took her, and pulled her unto him into the ark. So he also sent a dove. So it says the raven was to see if the waters were dried up, but the dove was to see if the waters were calmed down. That's what the word abated means. It means calmed down from off the face of the ground, okay? It says the dove returned to the ark because the water was on the face. There's that geometric term that we've talked about a lot, of the whole earth, because it was a worldwide flood. The whole earth was covered with this water. Verses 10 and 11, and he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. So he waited a week to try again, And this time, the dove brings back an olive leaf, and Noah knew the waters were receded. Okay, what's interesting is the olive leaf, or the olive tree in the Bible, represents relationship, peace, promises, and restoration. The dove always represents the Holy Spirit. So here, symbolically, what we have is just after the destruction, right, of everyone on earth. Everyone is gone. We know that. Everything has been destroyed besides Noah and his family. So after the destruction of everyone on earth, God himself, in the Holy Spirit form, is physically handing Noah restoration and promise. And that's also what he does for us at the time of our salvation. He hands us that restoration and promise. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to be in verse 12. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. So Noah waits 7 more days. Why? Not really, I'm asking why, because I don't know why he waited another 7 days. It says he knew that the ground was dry, right? It says he knew that the waters were gone. So I don't know why he waited again, but he waited. Okay, so he's still waiting, and he sends the dove again, but this time it doesn't come back, letting him know that he's found a home on the earth. All right, 13. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. Okay, so roughly a year and a month after the flood started, Noah opened the door, and he saw that the outside, or the surface of the ground, was dry. Okay, that's just surface level. We know what happens after it rains for a while. It might look dry, but the ground isn't really dry. It's still mushy. So that's what's going on right here. Verse 14, and in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. Okay, so 1 month and 26 days later. This does not mean February 27th. That's not actually the 2nd month and the 27th day. But the earth was dry, back to what normal would be, or the new normal. The climate has completely changed. Okay, people talk about climate change. It did definitely change at one time. Is it changing now? No, it's not. Not drastically, not like they say. It is changing the way God needs it to change to bring about the end of the world at one point, but it is not changing because of, global warming or whatever. Anyway, what has changed from the old climate to the new climate? Well, the continents were now separated. Okay, volcanoes erupted during this time because of the fountains of the deep. It shifted things. So volcanoes erupted, mountains were gone. So new mountains were there that weren't there before, right? Land eroded away. Large amounts of trees were gone, covered by tons of sediment. Noah got on the ark in a tropical climate. Now, the center of the earth and further, or if you're still thinking global, the top of the earth and the bottom of the earth. But we know that's not it. It's the center of the earth, the outside of the earth, okay? Is all ice, because volcanic ash shielded the sun, making it colder. This is what scientists call the Ice Age, except not the whole earth was ice. People did live here then, and it was not millions of years ago, okay? Also, when Noah got on the ark, there was just the one continent. But now, when the fountains of the deep broke, when they were released, it created the divide in the continents, and they shifted. Now, they did not immediately go from one continent to what we have today. They shifted slowly, and we're actually going to talk about that more in chapter 10 because it does mention it again. So, let's go to verse 15. And God spake unto Noah, saying. Okay, this is God spoke to Noah. All uses of this word in the Bible, right here, this word spake. It always means talked to, told, communicated with, or said, right? God talked to Noah. People say that God doesn't talk to us anymore. But I want you to think about this. God talked to Noah, and Noah wasn't even a son of God. Noah did not have the Holy Spirit, right? Noah wasn't filled with the Holy Spirit. We are. And if you're saved, then you are. That means you are a child of God, and you have the Holy Spirit indwelling, which means actively living inside of you. God himself living inside of you. Why would he not talk to you, right? He very much does still speak to us today, probably more than he did then, because now we have that direct line of communication that they didn't have. We have that. God doesn't just speak through the Bible. He speaks through his Spirit, and if his Spirit is in you, then he's probably speaking to you every single day. You just need to be quiet and listen. Verses 16 and 17. Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all the flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and they that may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Okay, so this is when God tells Noah to get off the ark. Him and his family and all the animals. So this is God's plan to replenish the earth, okay, with these animals. They are to be fruitful and multiply. And if you look closely in verse 17, it says, breed abundantly. They are to abundantly multiply. All right, verse 18 and 19. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. That's like a big repeat of what we just read. But this is just Noah following through with what God told him to do, in the exact order in what God told him to do it. This is Noah being obedient. Again. So, verse 20. And Noah builded an ark unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So immediately when Noah gets off this ark, what does he do? He builds an altar to God. Now this is when the 7 animals come into play, because we know that God said you're going to take 2 of every unclean animal, but 7 of every clean animal. Well, there's pairs, right? There's 3 pairs, because there's 6, but then there's the extra one. What's the extra one for? The sacrifice. The sacrifice that Noah did. He sacrificed 1 of every single clean animal when he got off the ark. All right, verse 21. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more living thing, any more everything living as I have done. Okay, so why did he sacrifice those animals to God? Well, it says that he smelled a sweet savor. He enjoyed the sacrifice. But then it says that God, he makes a promise here. And he says, never ever again is he going to kill all the living creatures on the earth the same way that he did it this time. Is he going to do it again? Yes. Yes. At one point in our future, I don't know how far away that's going to be, the people that are God's people, the sons and daughters of God, the ones indwelled with the Holy Spirit, the saved ones, they will be saved like Noah was, and the rest will be destroyed. Now we're going to go into verse 22 because they go together with that. He also says, while the earth remaineth, seedtime and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So he's saying while the earth remains, these things aren't going to stop. They're still going to have cold and hot. We're still going to have day and night. We're still going to have all of these things. But what does he mean while the earth remains? Because at some point in the future, it's not going to be here. God is going to destroy the earth. Not with water. It will be by fire. And there will be a new earth. A brand new one for us to live on. So, God is going to destroy everyone again. That is not his people. God is going to destroy the earth again. But he's going to create a new one. And you have that chance to be on that new one. It just won't be like this. It won't be with a flood. Okay? If you're curious about that, you can read into Revelation, or you can go back and watch the videos that I did on Revelation. But we will do chapter 9 very soon. Bye, guys.